Boker Tov, everyone. Kayitz Bari, as we say, a gesunter Sommer. Finally, we can experience a bit of the summer. Today, we will be learning chapter 13, Perek Yud Gimel in Tanya. And this chapter is connected to making decisions. How to actually make decisions. There's a whole, if I'm not mistaken, a whole course on decision making. And they give this course sometimes to Shel Koach Gadol Toda Rabbi. So here we've got chapter, אנחנו צריכים, זה 11. יש אפשרות גם להדפיס את 13? את 13 מצוין. Okay, so this is 11, we need 13. And chapter 13, yeah. And this chapter again is about decision making. Alter Rebbe is going to teach us a method that can help us in our daily life as well, especially when it comes to spiritual questions and to godly questions. But not only that, it can help us also in our decision making on a daily basis. So, so this is basically the general topic of today. Today is also what is called Yom HaShoah. So this Shiur Be'ezrat Hashem is dedicated to all of those that passed away during the Holocaust, that were killed during the Holocaust, murdered. Spoke briefly about it yesterday in the Hebrew Shiur about a few interesting things that the whole idea of the Holocaust can we can learn from that. Not only learn from that, but understand that there is no answer to the biggest question that people always ask: the question of why. Why did it happen? Or where was God while it happened? The Rabbi firmly said every time that he was asked by people, if it was by letters, people in private audience, and a lot of these people personally suffered from the Holocaust. So the Rebbe never ever gave an explanation. Not only that, but he said that there is no answer. Don't try and find an answer. And if someone tells you that there is an answer, it's totally incorrect. Certain things that Hashem does, we do not understand, and it's supposed to be like that we don't understand. It's supposed to be that way. And this is the vote of Rabbi Yonatan Sachs. He said that in any tragical thing that happens in life, Hashem says, I don't want you to understand it. Why? Because the moment we understand it, we accept it, and we justify it. So imagine a person in his Chas v'Shalom, it happened, it can happen, Shel Koach Gadol Toda Rabbi. Okay, so here we've got the chapter. Imagine a person, right? Chas v'Shalom, something bad happens. So the moment he understands why it happened, he says, well, perfect, things fit into place. It's like a person has witnessed a car accident. And he sees that the driver was, driving, he was also drunk, he's driving carelessly, and he sees the accident. So what does he tell himself? Is there something that he does not accept here? He says, no, the person was careless, and that's why, as a result, he basically suffered this accident. So you accept it at that point. You justify it. You say, okay, I understand why it happened. He was drunk, he didn't drive properly, and that's why the accident happened. Hashem says, there are certain things in life that I don't want you to accept. you shouldn't accept it. You shouldn't say that it's okay. And these are all the things that we carry with ourselves in our history, personal life, and this applies also very much to the Holocaust. So this shiur is dedicated to the neshamot of all of those that were tragically murdered during the Holocaust. This is chapter 13, bevakasha. Please take and pass on. Mordechai, there's a copyright for you right there. Okay, there's a story about the Rebbe Maharash. The Rebbe Maharash was the fourth Chabad Rebbe. We don't have a picture of him here on the wall. There is a picture that some people claim that it is the picture. It's not the picture, but we don't actually have like an official picture. And the Rebbe Maharash says that there is no one that you can fool. You can't fool Hashem because Hashem knows everything. Hashem knows the truth. You can't fool others because at the end of the day, everything is exposed. So the only person that is left to fool is yourself. And there's nothing smart about fooling a fool. That's the quote of the Rebbe Maharash. And it's an interesting quote. We'll see how it's connected to this chapter, but it's a lesson in Avodat Hashem in general. That a person has to be truly authentic with himself, and that is the ikar. Because for the people around, someone also said that until the age of 20 or 30, a person thinks that everyone is looking at him, observing what he does, how he behaves. After the age of 30 until 40 or 50, a person thinks, okay, people aren't observing me, but they are paying attention or they notice. And by the age of 50, a person says, no one even is noticing what you do. So the point is that at the end of the day, it is all between us and Hashem and ourselves. Of course, there's an effect on others, and that's what we should take into consideration, how to positively affect others. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't only behave for the others, it should start for ourselves, what we truly are, and that should affect other people around us. There's also a special quote in Hayom Yom. Hayom Yom is the daily quotes of the Rebbe. The daily quotes of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says that a person should know his true value. He should know his pros and cons, and when a person knows the cons, so he is able to also fix that. If a person doesn't know that, so he doesn't fix it, and it doesn't help. So today we are going to learn about decision making and about how to actually observe ourselves. What exactly we should consider ourselves. So let's start the first paragraph here, chapter 13. Chanoch, please begin for us the chapter.
Therewith will be understood the community of our sages that intermediate people are judged by both the good and evil natures. For it is written, he stands at the right hand of the poor man to save him from that judge his soul. Note that they did not say ruled or both, God forbid, because where the evil nature gains any control and dominion over the small city, even though but temporarily, one is at such times deemed wicked.
Okay, so we spoke about 3 personalities in this world. One is the tzaddik, is the righteous person, who has no evil inclination, and therefore he is totally judged by the good side, by the Yetzer Tov. And that is what we say, tzaddikim, Yetzer Tov Shoftan. We have the wicked, we have the evil, the Rasha, that he is not, he has a good, positive side to him as well. But the one that rules actually is the evil inclination. He is the one that practices on this person. That's the Rasha. The Rasha, the evil inclination, is able to carry out his desires. He would actually practice them. He would do it. Do the Aveira. Then we have the intermediate. The intermediate person is called the Beinoni, and he, as it says, Zeh v'zeh shoftam. He is judged by both sides, which means by the evil inclination and by the Yetzer Tov, the positive, the good inclination, the positive side.
You use the expression judged.
Oh.
But judged or moved?
Yeah, fair. So we're going to speak about why is he using this term of judged? Why doesn't he speak about controlled or ruled? There's a difference between a judge and a ruler, and I don't want to connect it to the politics that is going on today. But usually, a judge shares his opinion. He is not the only one to make a decision. That's why in court you have a few judges, and they see how many judges are for this side and for that side, and then there is what's called a ruler that actually makes a decision. So when we say Yetzer Tov Beinonim Zeh v'zeh shoftam, both sides judge him, which means they both share their opinions, do good versus do bad. And this is something that we always face in ourselves. We don't have to go to think about this intermediate, but this is what we face many times on a daily basis. Should we do something good, or should we do, or should we not do that? Should we do something bad, or should we not? We hear these voices all the time. We hear their opinions of the judges every single day, a few times a day. So in that case, this is the story of the intermediate man. But we don't use the term, just before your question, we don't use the term that the evil inclination rules. No. Because the moment the evil inclination rules, it means that he practices the opinion of the evil inclination. And therefore, from a status of an intermediate person, he falls to a status of an evil person. Because the moment, we've got to remember this, the Alter Rebbe is very strict. The moment we fall and we practice these evil desires, that is a point where we turn from a Beinoni into a Rasha.
Excuse me, I disagree. Because you might behave in the wrong way.
Yes.
And you know it.
Nachon.
So you don't judge. You are moved because you are weak. For many other reasons.
And not
you
because...
You are not judging. You are saying, maybe it's wrong. Nevertheless, I do it. So it's not a judgment.
So it depends what we're talking about with a judgment. But what Alter Rebbe is saying here, judgment, is that there's another opinion. And even the fact that a person says, I'm weak, and therefore I'm going to fall, that's a certain judgment. It's a certain weakness. Soon we'll see that there's also another side that can help the positive. There is a way to influence these judges. There's a way to influence the judge. There's a story about a person. Avadia, I didn't forget your question. Just one moment. There's a story about a very interesting story. This is not about a judge, but it's about influencing. There was one person he was in charge of deciding where a big company is going to purchase their products from. And they went with this company. They were buying whatever. Maybe it's for the government or for the army, certain supplies. Now, at the moment you get a contract from, like, let's say the army to supply and to provide metal or the uniform or any type of material, it's a huge amount of money that's guaranteed. Because once you are in, it takes a long time till they find someone else. They wanna rely on one supplier. So there was this new company, and the manager there used a very interesting trick to get them to purchase from that company. What did he do? He figured out who is the person that actually makes a decision about and he placed in the entrance to his building a guard that every single day used to open the door for him, and he wore on his shirt the sign of that company. And it wasn't he wasn't an official guard, but he was there every single day opening the door with that semen, with that sign on his shirt. Then a month later, when this person came and he saw the two contracts, he saw the two proposals, so of course he chose that one that even he didn't link it directly. And if I will ask you, what are the colors of the American airline company? Can you say?
Blue, red, gray.
Blue and red, correct. And I think it's or gray or white.
The plane is gray.
What is the plane, right? And also they always do it. Take the colors of
The flag.
sorry,
The flag.
of the flag, right? So sometimes, the moment you'll spot it, you'll automatically connect it. But if someone asks you off term, like, what did you see? You don't remember. So if you would ask him if you would ask that manager, tell me what sign is on that person's shirt every day that he opens the door, he wouldn't be able to tell you. But the moment he sees it, it's subconscious that he links it together, and that's good, and to him that sign represents good, so he goes for that contract. So this is something that we're going to speak about soon, how to influence the judge. And there are many cases, like you said, Yaakov Meir, where it's not a matter of the pure judgment. It's not a pure opinion. He's weak. He can't use that sense of justice or whatever it is. And it's on both sides. And just to link, I don't want to get into it because it's later on in this chapter, but the Rebbe Rashab said about one of the students that he saw, the Rebbe Rayatz. He saw him, he was in the yeshiva, he was the menahel of the yeshiva, the manager of the yeshiva, and he walked into the yeshiva, and the mashgiach, who is basically the person that supervises and is in charge, showed him the student and said, look at these great students that are studying here. Look how nicely they are studying. And he said, now, it's very nice that they're studying beautifully now, but this is not the only moment. Let's wait and after they get married and they are involved in the world, let's see then the effect of the yeshiva. So our senses of justice aren't always pure. Sometimes they're influenced. And it's not only, that's the shochad yaver. Shochad yaver, we know a judge is not allowed to take bribery. Because even if it's a righteous tzaddik, the judges, they were tzaddikim. They were tzaddikim, but the Torah says you're not allowed to accept a bribe. Because subconsciously it affects you that you direct your sense of justice towards that person. There was once a Yid that came, he had a trial with a Gentile. So the day before, he comes, he knocks at the judge's door at evening, and he hands him over an envelope of $10,000. So the judge says, "This is what you're doing? You're coming to bribe me?" So he says, "No, this is not any type of bribery. I just know that naturally you would go for the Gentile. And this is to even things out. So now we are on the same page." It's a joke. So, okay, let's continue. The evil nature. Ovadia, you had a question, right? Or you wanted to point out something?
Yes. Well, no, but your answer can be, it's in a later chapter. But this book's blowing me away because in the battle between the animal soul and the godly soul, this taught me something I didn't know. We don't get the godly soul until we're 13. It might be, I might have already been formed at 13. It might be too late. It's a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
You mean you lost it?
So does this come up?
It's it's not written meforash in the Tanya. We've got to try and explain what does it mean that we see many kids that bli ayin hara, they are, I would say, big tzaddikim, tinoka shabbos rabban, right? The guarantors for Am Yisrael are the tinokot shel Beit Rabban. In the times of Mordechai Tzaddik, what made the change when Mordechai knew that we are going to be victorious? That was when the little kids came out of Cheder and they and they said the right thing. And we see that kids are, with the Yetzer Tov, kids are doing much better than us. There's something when a child is still 13, he is not influenced. He's got the evil, the Yetzer Ra, because that's more natural. That's more who we are. The temptations are around us. The Yetzer Tov only comes in a later stage at life because, and we'll also see that in the Hemshech of this Perek, because it's influenced by many other things. A person has to be mature enough. What is the Yetzer Tov? One of the things is to control. Use your mind to control. A kid, that's one of the things that a kid does not have. He cannot control his desires. That's why they cry more. That's why they are irrational. And that's why they can act in ways that can harm themselves. An adult, you expect from an adult that he gets this the sense of logic that helps him make the right decisions. Okay, so let's see here the second paragraph.
The evil nature in the Benoni, however, is no more than, for example, a magistrate or judge who gives his opinion on a point of law, yet it is not necessarily a final decision to be implemented indeed. For there is another magistrate or judge who is contesting this opinion. It is therefore necessary to arbitrate between the two, and the final verdict rests with the arbitrator. Similarly, the evil nature states its opinion in the left part of the heart, which then descends to the brain for contemplation. Immediately, it is challenged by the second judge, the divine soul of the brain, extending into the right part of the heart, the abode of the good nature. The final verdict comes from the arbitrator, the Holy One. Blessed be he who comes to the aid of the good nature, as our sages said. If the Almighty did not help him, he could not overcome his evil inclination. The help comes by means of the glow radiated by the divine light, which illuminates the divine soul, that it may gain the upper hand and mastery over the folly of the fool and evil nature, yet are in the manner of the excellence of light over darkness, as stated above.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we spoke about decision making, and this is something interesting where we've always got to observe, where does this thought come from, or this idea, or this desire? Is it something good, or is it something bad? And also in our daily life. So how do you guys make decisions? Let's say you have an option to purchase something, not to purchase something. Not financial decisions, but just day-to-day decisions. Like, for example, let's find one of the examples: to answer the phone, not to answer the phone; to make a phone call or not; to come to a shir or not to come to a shir. There are more critical decisions, like what to study, who to marry, where to live, etc. How would you make a decision?
Summation.
Sorry?
It's a summation.
Of the result?
Yes. No, it's a summation of the pros and cons.
Right. And
add all the points and then take a decision.
Right.
But you have to.
How do you know?
You have to weigh the pros. One pro might be worth more than 7.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And you evaluate.
Right. How do you know? This is where it becomes more tricky. How do you know if it's a pro or a con? Right. A person can.
It depends from what is the decision. If you have to choose an apartment or the other apartment, which is what my daughter has to decide today.
Yeah.
This is near the shul, this is near the work, this is near the shopping center, this is near...
right.
This costs 10 and this costs 12.
Okay, so this is a good point. So, being, let's say, next to the shopping center, there's something good and something bad to it. So is it a pro or a con?
So
the good, it's very convenient, but the noise. My parents, they live in Beit Shemesh, they live on top of a shopping center. So sometimes it's very good. You need something, you pop downstairs, and within 2 minutes you get it. And no one else, if anyone else, you got to travel, get stuff. But there is much more noise, and it's not as clean and as aesthetic as other neighborhoods. Yeah, I'm trying to be a bit diggy on this point, because we may not have an example immediately. But there are cases where a person is not sure, wait, is this itself something good or something bad?
Do I study philosophy?
Study, exactly.
Do I study philosophy or architecture?
Exactly. And a person, and here, so this tool of the Alter Rebbe is going to help us very much, and let's take that example. So the question that the Alter Rebbe says, the question is, where does this come from? Can you try and link it? Let's say if a person says, I want to study philosophy. Where is that desire coming from?
Avoiding yourself.
Maybe. A person wants to study psychology or architecture. Maybe he has to study psychology and he feels that need because he has something that he wants to solve from the past. So the moment...
But architecture might be a career.
Exactly. So you know that where is that the desire to study architecture is because you want a proper career.
There are people who become lawyers and doctors because they have money. Not in Israel, obviously. But in industry, they want the money. They want to live.
There's a lot of money in it, right? For sure. And that's another and once again that's another example where a person can say, for me it's very important to have that strong financial basis.
It's also experience. Which experience up until the point you're going to make the decision
Helps a lot to make the actual decision.
Formulate what's going and what's going.
I could say in a non-theological conversation,
Yeah.
that my philosophy has always been it's not the decision you make, it's what you do after you make the decision.
Consequences.
Interesting.
To make it right after you.
That's a big secret to being successful in decision making, is that once you made the decision, don't think about any other options. That's the decision you made. You're going with full force ahead. That's the only way to actually to get some kind of result from this decision making. Otherwise, you're still going to be behitlaptut. So 100%. One of the things that you said is about the experience that a person has, and that helps us. The experience is because a person understands himself also better. He understands himself better, and also his surroundings better, and therefore he can detect, okay, where is this coming from? What is this actually gonna, how's it gonna actually affect me? In what ways is it gonna affect me?
So self-knowledge is the basis of decisions.
Nachon. And this is what we started with the story of the Rebbe Maharash, is that it's so important to have this self-knowledge. A person not trying to fool himself, trying to maybe act on a certain level, could be a higher level or a lower level. There are many, many people that are underestimated, that they have low self-esteem. And they could be on a very high level, but they aren't sometimes confident enough, or they don't evaluate themselves on an appropriate level as they really are.
And you're speaking of Levi?
So this.
He's speechless.
So this is one of the things. Here, there's a great story of the Rabbi Nachum of Chernobyl. In Chernobyl, there was that big disaster, but many years before that, there was a big tzaddik that used to live there. It was two, Mordechai Chernobyler and Rabbi Nachum Chernobyler. It says, I think it's about Rabbi Nachum, who this story applies to, that he was physically big. And he was physically big because of the pleasure that he gained from saying, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbo. Very interesting. Very interesting. He was like, it used to cause him a pleasure. It's like the story of I think it was the minister that came to lay siege on Yerushalayim, and Rabbi Yochanan was able to escape with the whole story that he acted dead. They took him out, and then he came to that minister, and he told him his request was. That was the request came after. He told him, he referred to him as the emperor, and he said, "You're referring to me as an emperor? That is treason. I should kill you now." And a few moments after that, walked in with a message from Rome that the emperor died, and now he became emperor. And he was in the middle of putting on his Roman sandals. And he put on one, but the other he didn't put on. And then when he tried to put that on, it didn't fit his leg. It didn't fit his foot. And this is what it says in Tehillim, Ushmu'a tova tedashen atzim. That a good shemua, a good hearing, causes the bone to expand.
Do you know what number of Tehillim?
Okay. I don't remember exactly. Kufiyutet. Could be Kufiyutet. So Rabbi Nachum of Chernobyl, he basically had this pleasure that affected him physically. And we know that people that are in a good, positive mood, or we know that if a person is in a bad mood and he's worried and he's bothered all the time, so physically you can see it on a person, also on his weight. It wouldn't be a recommended way to do a diet. That's just one thing, because we've got to keep positive. That's the ikar. So what is the story about Rabbi Nachum Chernobyler? Rabbi Nachum Chernobyler, basically, he was in charge of the charity of the village. A rich person walks in one morning and says, "Rabbi, I did a great business deal. Here is my maaser, 300 rubles." Reb Mordechai Chernobyl said, great, thank you very much. He walks out. 10 minutes later walks in a poor person and tells the Reb Nachum Chernobyl, he tells him, Rebbe, I need to marry off my daughter and I don't have money for that. So Reb Nachum Chernobyl says, okay, tell me how much is it to marry off your daughter? And he says 300 rubles. So Reb Nachum Chernobyl is thinking to himself, perfect. I will give this 300 rubles that I just got a moment ago, I'll give it to this poor person. It's divine providence. He nearly gave the money to the person and he thought to himself, wait a second, maybe I should divide it between many, many more poor people. And here he is facing two options, two thoughts, and he's trying to find, okay, so what is the right thought? There's something very good about both of them. Each side has a certain pro. So how do you make a decision in that case? So he said he goes by his first thought. Because the first thought is pure. It's like you said, it's like a person, and it happens a lot of the time when a person wants to make a good decision. Could be donating it, but it's not only when a person donates, it's when a person says, you know what, I want to accept upon myself to do this mitzvah. And then a moment after that, just one moment after that, you say, wait a second, it's going to be a bit hard for me committing to come to a shir. Yes, okay, we're going to learn at that shir, no problem, I'll come. And then 10 minutes of wait, maybe I should delay it to Thursday, or maybe I should delay it to Friday. The second, and you will find a pro for that as well. You will say, on Friday, I have more time, I don't have work. On Friday, it's a long Friday, we can prepare for Shabbos, it will take us. So, in that case, the first thought is the positive thought, is the thought that a person should embrace. Even though, yes, a person might say, you know what, an hour today I will learn. And that's your first, or 5 hours later. The first thought is usually better. Yes.
So my first thought is, in Israel especially, I should not watch the big Italian game tonight at a non-kosher bar.
Yeah.
Even though I might only have a liquid refreshment.
Yeah.
That's my first thought, is that I should. But
Yeah.
they have a really big screen. That's my second thought.
The Ace of Horror is going to go.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what to do.
Fight the Ace of Horror.
Okay.
Oh, so I'll tell you, and this is where we come to this.
You can find
Just stop and marry first.
Oh,
There's a kosher
I like
place
that one.
in the market today,
yeah.
but it's a smaller store. All right, but that's the process though.
Yeah.
You know what? You buy your beer in a kosher place
Go see
and you go there.
BYOB.
What?
BYOB. Bring your own bottle.
But I think that's a good example, because at this level I kind of know, in Israel especially, it's
Yeah.
kind of a non-question outside of Israel. But in Israel you have these choices.
Yes.
It's easier to do the
How do you know that place is not kosher?
They're not. I know they're not.
Okay.
My wife and I were on a Griffith Street a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and there's a store there. It's called the Asian Market. You know, I was going there and see what they had. You know, I'm sure like people fucking. One of the things they had on their shelf was Spam. Was that it? It was like a canned ham.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The store's not there anymore. Now there's a hospital outside in front of it.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
the
You
owners
can.
of the store really didn't get it. They didn't understand.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always important. Sometimes in Israel we think, you know, most of the things are kosher,
You know,
but always good to be alert,
yeah.
aware. So this is where we come.
The world ignorance.
You
Yeah.
notice he didn't give a ruling. You notice the rabbi did not give a ruling.
On what? Sorry? On your question? I've got something for that here.
We had a problem in Italy. There was a shochet who was unfaithful. He was selling not kosher meat.
Oh yeah.
And some people came to shul to our Rav and asked him, what should we do with cutlery and he said, I will be going to answer to each person personally. I'm not giving
a general answer.
A general answer.
Interesting. Why? Because it's not suitable for...
where people couldn't afford to change everything.
Right. Right.
And to those, he wouldn't answer.
Yes, sir.
You do whatever you...
It's individual, 100%. Okay, so
stay home and study.
video.
Okay. So so there is, and this is the last part that you just read. There is something very interesting that he says that. So we are in a typical case of the Beinoni, the intermediate person. We have the judge saying to do good. We've got the judge saying to do bad. So what is the result of that? Two different opinions. They both seem equal. How do we actually? How is the decision made? So here the Alter Rebbe says that Hashem helps the positive side. There is some kind of help that a person gets, and this is the Yetzer Tov that kicks in at the age of 13, and that this aid actually helps the person to make the right decision.
Can you take this
but what
like
is
a
this?
rule?
Yeah.
The first idea is the best one.
So again, not always, but a person knows where it comes from. You know, when Rab Nachum Chernobyl, I will go a bit to where the thoughts came from. When he said he's giving this, it's charity. This person is not lying. He needs the 300 rubles. He exactly got 300 rubles. It's a great sign. So the Yetzer Tov would say, give it right now. So we know ourselves when we have we want to give a donation. Sometimes
you are in front of a shidduch.
Yeah.
And there is a lady who is not so nice to be looking at.
Yeah.
But she's it's Lekkutei. Then there is another girl. She's good looking.
Right.
And your Yetzer Hara, the first thought says, go with the nice one.
Right. So you said that's the first thought.
If it was.
Okay. So that's why it's not a rule that we said in any case. That's an idea to try and examine where are those thoughts coming from. So first of all, it says that a person should marry a person that's attractive to him. Yes, 100%. So there is a good thought behind it. But a person should sit with himself and truly say, when I am facing a decision of a shidduch, who should I marry? And I've got these two options, let's say. So think very carefully why you really want to marry this woman. Where is it coming from? If it's just based on something external, so you don't have to be a big tzaddik to tell yourself that it's better to try and see that there is a real connection. Besides what looks good, what appears good in the outside. The point of the story is to show that there is a source to each thought. And when a person is, for example, when he studies, yes, a person that, let's say, says, I've got, or a career, and there are many people that did it, a career, or they want to solve things or to help other people. And this is something that happens all the time, right? The job of being a nurse. So there is something very special about that because you help people all the time and you're interacting with people all the time. There's a lot of satisfaction in that field. It's not much of a career. It is a nice career, but if a person would go and spend those 3 years learning computer science, he will, at the end of the month, he will end up with a bigger salary, let's say. So in that case, once again, there could be a strong reason, and it could be his second thought, but the moment he knows that he wants to help people, and this is why I'm looking to do it. Okay, so you go ahead with it. The point is that there is a reason to each one of our desires and each of our thoughts.
Do we find this here?
And yes, we should be able to find it here. Okay, I've got to find the exact words that where we can find this idea, but it's generally in the words of Alter Rebbe when he speaks about the judgment between the two. This is why we refer to it as a judge. This person has two voices, two judges in him that are sharing their opinions. So it's knowing where is that coming from. How do I know what judge says what? You've got to, that's why the experience again, a person at a certain age, he can know, is this an external desire? Is this something that won't do good for me? Or is this the right decision? Here there is another interesting idea, and this is about the aid, the guidance that Hashem provides us when we face such a challenge. When we have these two voices, yes, to eat this or not to eat it. So the words of the Alter Rebbe here is that Hashem Ozro, ilmalei Hashem Ozro, without Hashem's help, he wouldn't succeed. Halacha kedivrei hamachriya. The halacha is like the machriya, which is the person that makes a decision. Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ha'oizrei la'yetzer tov, who helps the yetzer tov. If Hashem would not help the yetzer tov, we wouldn't succeed against the yetzer tov. What is he referring to? So there's a great story from the Midrash in Bereshis Rabbah about one of the time, I think it was the Romans. They entered Yerushalayim, they entered the temple, and they wanted to steal the vessels, the holy vessels. And what happened is that when they wanted to steal the vessels, they were afraid to enter the holy temple. They knew that it's very holy, very special. So what happened is that they summoned a Jew by the name of Yosef Meshisa. This person, Yosef Meshisa, wasn't such a big tzaddik, and they said he will go first in, he will make the place impure, and then that will let us go inside. We'll be able to see what if he comes out alive, or exactly the whole thing. So what happened is that they told him, you can enter. Now he's not going to enter. He knows that it's holy, there's no game. So he told him, you know what? You can choose whatever you want. Great opportunity. He walks in, takes out the menorah, walks with that out, with the menorah, and he's about to leave. He says, okay, that's it, thank you very much. I said, no, you're such a simple person, you can't use this special vessel. Go back in, choose something else. He did not want to go back in. And they took him, and they started torturing him. And he was saying, oi, 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 that I disobeyed Hashem's command. How did this Yosef Meshisa from starting off 10 minutes ago as an evil person that just wanted the menorah for his personal house, into such a tzaddik that wasn't prepared to go in a second time and take for himself some other gold and silver, that he would be able to live forever after in a very comfortable position. Where was the change? So this goes back to the age 13. When a person is at age 13, that's when the Yetzer Tov kicks in. What does that mean? That's when the child starts learning, starts davening, and when a person is in a certain atmosphere, when he's in a certain environment that enhances holiness, kedusha, and godliness, that is what helps the person to make the final decision. It's not only about that moment, two thoughts in his mind and making a decision. It's going to be impossible. It's about the way you nature your yourself, your body. Are you in the Ark of Noah a lot during the day? Which means, are you in davening? Are you learning during the day? Then when you leave outside, making the decisions will be easier, because you still will have the influence of the Torah that you learned. This is also very much connected to the way children are raised, and this is why the Rabbi said so important to send children to a kosher school, especially at the beginning, and even to the extent that young kids at a young age, they don't need to know about all the history. They don't have to know English professionally and mathematics professionally. They want to catch it up later, they'll be able to catch it up later. But the first years should be pure and holy. Why? Because that is our bubble. That is what we are connected to, and this is what helps us make the decisions later on. So this is the help that the Alter Rebbe is referring to. And that is why what happens is that this is why it says, and we spoke about it right at the beginning of the Tanya, it says that if a person is even if he is a righteous person, he should, in his own personal eyes, he should be evil. He should be a rasha. What would that do to our self-esteem? That wouldn't do much good. Why should a person look upon himself as if he is evil? So the Alter Rebbe teaches us that during life we become more and more material. There's nothing to do about it. We eat breakfast every day, a lunch and a dinner every day as well, and this affects our ability to make decisions, to make holy decisions. So in other words, the way that a person works, the way that our body works, is that it's not just a momentarily decision that we can make on the spot. Person brings all of his consciousness and subconsciousness together with him, and that's what affects it. That's why in Hasidus a big thing is learning Mishnayos and Tanya by heart. Why do we need to learn by heart quotes from the Tanya or quotes from the Mishnah? You don't see professors, they study by heart so they can tell it to you on the spot, but they wouldn't do it just for the sake of knowing quotes by heart. In Judaism, if your soul and your mind, there's engraved over there quotes from the Mishnah and from Tanya, you will be able to make better decisions closer to the holiness, closer to God, closer to Kedusha. So it's an atmosphere. That's why learning in yeshiva takes a huge place in Jewish life. Because learning in yeshiva, a person is basically, he is just surrounded with Kedusha and holiness. So he might not necessarily use 100% of his time. But the environment that he is in gives him a whole different perspective to life. Let's read this. Rabbi Kavas is not here, so let's read this in the fourth paragraph here. Harry, please read for us. Okay. Yaakov. Yet
inasmuch as the evil in the heart's left part of the Benoni is in its innate strength, craving after all the pleasures of the world, not having been nullified in its minuteness in relation to the good, nor having been relegated from its position to any degree, except insofar as it has no authority or power to diffuse itself throughout the limbs of the body. Because the person who stands at the right hand of the poor man, helping him and radiating his divine soul. Such a person is likened to a wicked man. In the words of our sages, even if the whole world tells you that you are righteous, in your own eyes regard yourself as if you were wicked, not as actually wicked. But one should consider oneself to be an intermediate person and not accept the world's opinion, which would have him believe that the evil in him has been dissolved by the good, which is the category of tzaddik. Rather should he consider himself, in his own estimation, as if the very essence of the evil is in its full strength and might, in the left part, as from birth, and that nothing of it has ceased or departed. On the contrary, with the passing of time it has gained strength, because the man has indulged inconsiderably in eating and drinking and other mundane pursuits. Watching the big game with the
No, because the godly soul is only good.
Can.
The animal soul can be bad or par.
Right.
So you get the animal soul at birth, you don't get the godly soul till 13. But is the Yetzer Hara effective before 13? You do have to learn to eat.
Okay. It's a good question. They go very much together, the Yetzer Hara and the Nefesh HaBahamit, the animal soul. They're not the same exactly, but they go very much together. So it could be that there's no real Yetzer Hara until, because we want things to be evil, but the starting point of a person, by the age of 13, the idea is that he knows very well how to eat and how to enjoy life, because that's what he experienced for 13 years. And learning and tefillah, so he knows it as a child, but he doesn't know that as an adult. That's what's more of a challenge.
You just spoke about eating.
Okay.
Here the second line, it speaks again, all the pleasure of the world. And then in the last sentence, indulge in consuming, eating and drinking, and more modern pursuits.
Okay.
In Bereshit, at the beginning, is written, of all the fruits of the land, you will have to eat. So, wise to underline that the eating, indulging in eating, is such a bad thing.
Yeah, fair.
You have been told you should try off everything.
Okay.
You said that was not kosher.
No.
This is not dafka, not kosher. This is even things that are kosher. So yeah, I mean it's there is what is called in Chassidut iskafia. So once again, if a person, it's very hard for a person suddenly to be inspired by holiness when he enjoys a steak every single day for 20 years. And that is the idea of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe is not saying not to do it. The Alter Rebbe is saying
he's being told to enjoy the fruits of
so
the land.
the question is, what is the purpose of the eating? Is it only for his benefit? Or is he thinking that it is to serve Hashem with the strength of that type of food?
Steak, and I make a brocha on the steak, so Hashem is happy, and I am happy.
Oh, so you've got to remember the story of the Rebbe Midrash. right? What the Rebbe Marash said, that a person has the only one. Hashem knows everything, so we're not fooling Hashem. Even the people around us, we also aren't fooling them, because everything is exposed at the end. The only person we might fool is ourselves, and it's a she'ela liba denafshei. Each person for his purpose, and definitely there's been a difference in generations. For example, in previous generations, people used to fast every Monday and Thursday. Why? Because it's a certain way to elevate his animal soul, to make it more of a tool to accept the Kedusha. And in our generation, the Rebbe clearly says not to use this path, because we've got to enjoy the world. Of course, it's got to be to serve Hashem. But yes, we've got to benefit from the world, for sure. The Seder.